my vice. Man up from Mars, he tripping, I put that on guard. I got the digits, but I am not calling. Wizard at night, this be that forum. I'm just gonna stack with that. Sunshine after that. Just gonna stack with that. Sunshine after that. So yeah, you know, I had a conversation with her, but it's like the signals is always crossed. I mean, like, I say yes, cause she asked me to say yes. And then she's like, I didn't want you to say yes. I wanted you to understood that a yes was required to answer the question. I was like, what?
Welcome back. Welcome to the spot, the Stacked After Hours spot. I'm your host, Natalie Cosby, and welcome to the show for Grown Folks Talk. So we are continuing our conversation. And this side tonight, we have ladies talking about dating, her point of view. So let's get into it. Y'all get ready, get those cocktails, fingertips loose, because we want to hear your questions and comments for tonight's show. And there is a lot to say from these ladies. So as you know, we keep it lit and enlightening. So let's get into it. Let's bring on our panel. Oh, well, hi, beautiful ladies. We got the ladies in the house. And of course, we have my host, Sunshine. So, real quick, I'm just going to do a quick roll call and claim and actually shout out y'all's relationship status. To my, I want to say my lower left-hand corner. She is from the Shy. She is married, Miss Valencia Murray, Mrs. Valencia Murray. Thank you, Valencia, for coming back. Dinner between me and Sunshine, Dr. Tracy White. She is single, and I think she said perusing, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then new to the show, in our right hand corner, she got her fist up. She is ready. Therapist, savant, Miss Judy Foster.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So last week we had a whole conversation with brothers about their point of view in dating and what they're experiencing and so on and so forth. So one of the first questions before we get into, and brothers have been posting stuff all day for y'all to answers, but before we get into that, because Sunshine's gonna share that, what is y'all's mindset now that y'all, I mean, Valencia, I know you're you're not necessarily a newlywed, but you've been married within the last 10 years. So
With 5.
Okay, 5. So it's fairly a new marriage. And then the ladies, what has been y'all's mindset with dating and the type of relationships y'all want?
Well, I am divorced, and I've been divorced since 2020. And I started dating right after that. And I think I went into the mindset of I'm looking for a relationship. And I dated a few guys who, maybe lasted a few months, and then things didn't work out. And now we're in 2024, and I think I'm still dating, looking for a relationship in the long run, but I want to have fun now also. So, if things don't turn out like that, that's cool. I maybe make a friend. So I'm dating, I'm having fun. And if it turns out to be a mutual, connection, and it turns out to be a relationship, great.
Okay. I like that. Tracy, what has been your experience?
Well, my experience has been that probably for the last 30 years, I have been in a relationship, a monogamous relationship. I was married for 21 years. And then before I was married, I was in a long-term relationship with my college sweetheart. And then after I got divorced, I got back into a relationship with my college sweetheart. So I have been with 1 or 2 men for the last 32 years. So right now, I'm in a space where when I say I'm perusing, it just means that I am allowing myself to get to know the beautiful variety of men because there is such a beautiful variety of men, that are out there. And so when dating, I'm really in this space of having fun. I'm not looking for a solid relationship right now because I have only been in a relationship for most of my teenage years and all of my adult life.
Wow. Wow. Okay. All right. And Miss Valencia, what about you?
I'm okay with not perusing. It's like, I walk into the grocery store and the fruits and vegetables are lined up pretty nice and they look good, but I already know I don't like tomatoes and I don't eat that or I don't like that. And so I'm okay with being the person that seems to stay in a relationship. Um, I'm grateful not to be dating right now with the stories I hear, the things that I see with friends, even just watching my adult sons date. It's like, woo.
Valencia, how long did you date before we go? How long did you date your husband before y'all decided that y'all were gonna be each other's booze?
There was the initial conversation that we sat down.
Okay.
He treated me to brunch and he said he was looking for a wife. And if that was not on my to do list, then that would be our last lunch.
Oh.
And
Oh.
I said, well, shut your mouth and keep on talking. Tell me because at that time I was just leaving someone that I had been with for 7 years because I'm like, bro, like, do we don't know what we doing right now? And so my husband led with that. And here we are. He was ready within a couple of weeks, but it actually it took me a little
You,
longer
you
to
know,
because I didn't
it's
trust myself.
it's a rarity when you find someone that's that sure of what they,
Right.
especially from a man's perspective. Typically, there are what I've experienced is that there is a lot of indecisiveness. There's a lot of speaking in circles, and I guess everybody's trying to sort out their lives. They're not sure what it is that they want to do. But one thing that Dr. T said earlier on, which I think is really important, especially in the Black community, is that we date. We should date. And dating doesn't necessarily mean that we're hooking up with everybody that we go out with. We're meeting people. We should meet people, and it should be healthy relationships and healthy conversations when we meet men.
You know what? I think Sunshine. That's a good point because I feel like it has taken. From mine, and I don't know if it's how, especially our generation, we're all like in our late 40s, like mid 50s. Did y'all date when y'all were in your 20s and 30s and 40s? Because I was the girl like, I like you and we go together.
Hmm.
So is that still somewhat and how did you
Hmm.
guys shift in a space to like starting to date multiple people?
I feel like I've always been the girl who, whatever guy was in my life was like, I like you, and now you're my girlfriend. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm your girlfriend. It was never like just like that. So that experience that Valencia is talking about, even now that I'm in these dating streets, I run into that experience over and over and over again. Let me sit you down. I'm looking for a wife. Do you want to be it? No, I don't. You really don't know me yet. And so I did not date that much, Natalie. Like it was less about wanting to hurry up and click into a relationship and more about not knowing as a young woman and then unfortunately then as an older woman how to say thank you, but no, not yet. I'm not ready for that level of commitment because I really don't know you yet. And I want to figure out what I actually like about men before I commit myself to you.
What I hear is like when we were younger, we had the pressure of a biological clock.
Hmm.
Now that the clock is like, well, the clock is what we want to make it. Either we just like, I like relationships like Valencia, and I just want to be in something that is right for me and I know what I want immediately. Or it's like, for the first time, I get to peruse and not be judged because I don't got no pressures. Is
Yeah.
that the case?
See, I was since high school. I wasn't that girl who had a lot of boyfriends, and I was hanging out with
No,
I was
girl, I
traveling,
don't believe you.
and so it's just now that, like, in the last 10 years, I think that I really got serious. Like, okay, oh my God, I'm 37. I need to start looking for somebody. That's when I really started getting serious and started dating. I had boyfriends here and there, but I was not in long-term relationships for like 10 years, 7 years. That wasn't me. Not that I didn't want it to be, it just didn't happen that way. And I was fine with that. And then as I got closer to 40, I got married at 40. So, and then we were together most of my 40s, married for 6 years. And then I got divorced after that. And now I'm back out there like, okay, let's see what's out there. I mean, I was so happy to get married because I was like, oh my God, no more going in the clubs, no more looking for men, no more telling your life story over and over again on dates all the time. And now I'm back.
That is, it's so funny because my mom, my mother,
Yeah.
she said, now my parents got divorced. My father has passed, but they got divorced. And she was just like, instead of telling men I'm divorced, I tell them I'm a widower because I feel like I get more sympathy. I was like, what?
Well, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, girl, but I wonder, do men,
It does.
when
It
they
does.
meet you and they know that you've been divorced or you've
It
never
does.
been married, do you feel like there is judgment in that
Yes.
space?
Yes.
Anthea said yes. Y'all
I don't know. I wouldn't care. I mean, why is
Right.
that? That's just a reflection of someone who is totally immature that I need not waste a minute more.
But men do judge. They do judge.
Everybody judges.
Right, but they also judge
Everybody
women.
judges.
Yes.
There's
Yes. You
women
are
who
right.
haven't been married. You know, I have a friend who said if I've never been married, I'm in my late 40s, men might look at me like, well, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you been married? But then if I'm divorced, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you divorced? So you're right, you're gonna get judged regardless.
I don't necessarily feel that judgment. I feel like so many men and women at this age are on second life. I call it second life. I'm
Mhm.
on second life. Like I did this whole long stint all the way up until I was like 46 and now I'm about to be 50 and I've not met any men who are not divorced. Like everybody's divorced.
Right.
But Dr. T, what the one thing I want to say is a number of us, especially women, would always make sure that they reference or preference when they're talking about themselves with the fact that they were married. And that kind of is like a badge of honor that at some point I was chosen. Trust me, it is in some cases it is a badge of honor, right? To say that I was married and how long you were married for. You just want to let people know that at some point you were chosen. And I think the ones who have never been married, walk around with this sense of insecurity. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people that judge based on that. That
Yeah.
I
you've
mean,
never been
I think I'm
married,
the only
or
person.
you've gotten
I think
divorced, or
yeah,
whatever it is.
I'm the only person I think on the panel who has not been married, and I know the judgment that comes with it. It doesn't bother me, but I can understand how it bothers others. I just not
It does, yeah.
it's what it is. Um, yes. Uncle Jeff. Uncle just said, damn, y'all look good. Me and my wife were both on second divorces. We didn't judge.
So I wear that D with a sense of pride, like I am divorced. I got out. Thank you.
That's true. That's true. Well, now that y'all are back on the market. What type of men are coming to y'all, with the exception of Valencia? Because Valencia, I want to hold your space for like what was different about your husband versus this one. But the ladies who are currently single, is there a different type of man that is approaching you now, or do you find yourself choosing more so than ever?
I think both. I think it's more of a high value man. I don't
Oh
know.
Lord,
What
not
is
the
that,
high
Judy?
value.
Oh, Judy, with the high value men.
What is I feel like everyone has various definitions.
I
What is
feel
your
like
high value man?
there's a lot of men in my DMs. I'll say
Okay.
that. And I would say there's more men in my DMs than I'm meeting when I'm out. But I have given men in my DMs a chance. and actually going out and they're, holding great jobs, dress well. And that's what I mean when I say high value men, people who are doing their own thing, they're confident, um, and consistent, which is one of the things that is like one of the major things that I need from somebody right now is just consistency. So I'm not dating a lot. It kind of comes and goes, the winter times, things I'm in the house more, I'm working, but I have all types of men coming to me, or courting me. And I think that's great because you want to have your choice if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So what is something that what is a guy recently that has stood out in your mind? You don't think, but what is some of the things that he did or how did he show up? I always try to give men examples.
Yeah, so I right after my divorce, I did meet somebody, and he came up with, I don't know if you consider this love bombing or not, but every date was something different. Like he would surprise me with things. One day he called at 5 a.m. and was like, "Let's go watch the sunrise," which I had never done with anybody before. Well, I don't think it's been if I have, it's been many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. Things like that. He listened to the things that I would say during conversation. And one time I mentioned that I liked Ferris wheels. And so he took me as a surprise to a Ferris wheel one day on a date. And I was like, wow, somebody that actually listened to what I said in a small conversation and then came back and did something weeks later without me having to prompt or ask or do anything. And that is key for me. It's listening to the little things that people say, both ways too. And then surprising somebody with something, flowers, on a date, like which was like the fourth date, came with flowers, things like that, just little things like that. And I thought that was really watching the sunrise was really romantic. Nothing that, no intimacy, no nothing, just going in the freezing cold. It was like January, but we went and did it anyway. It was really, really nice. And I was like, wow, creative. I like that. Just, just different things each time. It was really nice.
Judy, can I ask what happened?
So with that, he was younger and he still wanted kids. And my biological clock was ticked. So we just decided after we had that conversation, after several dates, we probably should have had it in the beginning. I think, Anthea, I had told you about this before. We just decided to go our separate ways because at that time I was like, I am looking for something long-term. And if I already know we're not looking for the same thing as far as that, then let's just call it a day. It was great knowing you, great meeting you. Good luck. We very amicably, parted, and that was it.
All right.
Makes sense.
Interesting. Tracy, what about you? What kind of men have you been drawn to you since you are in this new single fabulous self?
Yeah, I want to say before I say the kind of men, I had a moment of recognition once I got divorced and then out of the relationship that I was in right after my divorce again with my former college sweetheart, that the similarities between those two men was an outgrowth of something that I was putting into the universe, right? I'm not that woman who's like, he was this and he was that. He was this. No. I needed to take a step back and put some time in between that last breakup and myself to figure out, like, what's your energy, sis? Like, what are you putting out here? What are your radio waves and your frequency that's drawing a certain type of man to you? And if you want that to change, then you really need to make sure that you take some time to figure out, your own self, your own vibe, your own energy, and then you'll start to attract more of that which it is that you desire. And so I would say that I'm in a space similar to Judy where I am attracting my definition of high value men, which is not connected to a socioeconomic status, a certain color of collar, because I like all collars, just have a shirt on, okay? That's what I care. You have a shirt on. It could be blue or white, I don't care. But people who are whole, who are complete, who have a crib, because I got my own crib, and I will say also men who are in closer to the stage of life that I am. I'm an empty nester. My daughter is grown. I'm not attracting men anymore who are in the midst of raising children, which is good because I'm not interested in raising children. I already did that. And so that's kind of the space that I'm in. I feel like I'm now attracting men that are a lot closer in terms of their life and where they are in their situation to where I am. And I think that's more about me making sure that I got my own self all the way together.
Okay. All right. And Valencia, what was it about this one that you're married to now that was different?
His willingness to tell me about him and not
Mm,
others in his past. I'm his third wife.
hmm.
So to sit at the table and tell me that you've already had two failed marriages, the difference for me was he was taking accountability and responsibility for his part in those. And so, yeah, of course, later on through the marriage, I obviously heard the stories so we could sit back and be like, okay, but this is what really was going on. But in the beginning, he presented himself as someone who realized he had a part in both of those marriages failing and what he had actually done. Not just saying, and I'm out. People say we got to do the work. We're going to take the time, but actually, he was able to show me that he had taken that time already, and what he did, and the results from it. Um, and then paying close attention. So our first conversation was just so transparent. We just disclosed everything, and that worked for us. Now maybe he could have sat across the table from a woman that didn't want that, and it wouldn't have worked, and vice versa. But we were both at the point where we were tired of any games, and we were like Judy just said, she had a great time, but they didn't discuss something very key, that they didn't even have to go there. You know what I mean? Waste any time. And that, I think we both were at that same point, like, okay, this is where we are. How do we go from here? And then I think when you do that, now you have something to hold that person to see if they're consistent. Because we say consistency, but what are they being consistent with? Because we didn't even have anything to hold them accountable for consistency. And
Right.
so going forward from that, he was just consistent. He brought me into his world very, very quickly, with painting me into the future with him, showing me and divulging all of his information, all of his plans, his goals, how he's already navigating them. And yeah, and here we are, like, and I still have, it's great. It's absolutely wonderful.
Do y'all so I think in dating it's just like how like certain conversations, I know with online dating it's difficult, but when you are dating, what are the conversations that are difficult to talk about, or where you find you may struggle with, or even questions you want to ask that you know are pending on your mind, but you just be like, I'm not ready to ask that. And how long do you wait to
Mm.
ask critical questions when you are interested in someone?
So I used to go back and forth with the "what are you looking for" question, and I wasn't sure if that was something that should be talked about in the very beginning or wait. And I've done it both ways, and
Hmm.
I'm still not sure. I'm curious to see what you guys think. When you're out on a first date, are we saying to people, "This is what I'm looking for a relationship, and I'm looking for this, and I'm looking," or are we just talking and get to know each other? Because really, I don't know you. I'm getting to know you, and if I get to know you and I like you, maybe I will want a relationship with you. Maybe I won't. And I also would think sometimes that would scare guys off to come off like, well, I'm looking for a relationship and I'm looking for this in the long term. And they're like, whoa, whoa, this is the first date. And then I've had other girlfriends say, no, you have to tell men up front that this is what you want, because if that's not what he's looking for, then let him weed himself out. Don't waste your time. So I'm still kind of like going back and forth with what I say on the first dates and whatnot. I don't know.
Judy, do you say it like if you like, oh, I'm drawn to him? Are you more skeptical to say it, or do you hold back?
I
Like if
hold
you,
back. Like the guy who I went out with that I was just telling you about. I don't think we did. I avoided talking about it. I was just a few months out of the divorce, and I was just like, I'm just dating, even though I was looking to find somebody. But I didn't. I thought that would scare him off, so I just kind of didn't say anything. Months later, in hindsight, I wish I had of. I wish, right, because later on we were like, oh, I guess we should have had the conversation, and I'm like, oh, I wish you would. I had known you felt that way. We could have had that conversation a long time ago,
yeah,
but we
yeah.
didn't. Maybe we're both hesitant. I don't know. So
I
Like,
don't I don't
go
ask
ahead,
the question
Trace.
at all. I don't ask at all. But it always comes up. And I typically let him bring it up. And then I share the same thing 100% of the time. It's not that I am averse to being in a relationship, because I am going to be in a relationship again, but it's not what is top of mind right now. I am really, really genuinely, everyone says, "Ooh, I want to marry my best friend. I want to marry my best friend." Well, can we just get to know each other and see, do we like each other
Right.
before we start talking about, well, where do you see yourself in 20 years? And, what do you want from a relationship? I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know you. I don't know your mama name. I don't know your middle name. I'm not sure if you got a police record yet. Can we just enjoy this chicken that we're eating right now?
But I think that it doesn't matter about who they are. It's about coming to the table knowing what you want.
Yes.
And in knowing what you want, if you know what you want, then we don't have to point the finger over there. And I think that's where the first hiccup comes in dating. We're showing up and we're not saying what we want for whatever reason. If we say what we want, then we move accordingly. It doesn't mean that if I say what I want means that I got to shake and move different. No, govern yourself accordingly. But this is what I'm looking for, because if you don't, not saying that my husband could have said that to me and I could have not been the wife for him,
Hmm.
but we would have. And so the journey begins on common ground. And so if along that journey this doesn't work, then that's fine. But for one person to say, I really want a relationship, and not disclose that, and then go into a situation and expecting them to do these things that we never disclosed that we were looking for, this is how it becomes more difficult than it needs to be. This is when we are the reason that dating becomes difficult.
Why is that? Why I always feel like that is, I know that was difficult for me in the past. I'm learning what that means now, to kind of talk about what I need and want, because I probably didn't know what I needed and wanted. I was kind of just going with the flow. But I always feel like it's very difficult. And I don't know if it's something in sisters' minds. It's just like, he likes me, he's nice enough, I'm going to go with it. Instead of being
Sometimes
like,
it's fear.
it
Sometimes
is
it's
fear. I think
Yes,
that's
thank
all
you.
cloaked in fear. But I always wonder, it's like, why is it just it's so hard for us to say certain things when
Yeah.
we know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I sometimes I feel like I'm on the other side of the coin, right? Because I'm in this place where I truly want to have the experience of I want to get to know somebody. And for me, because I also feel like my runway into a relationship may be longer than other people's runway. I think that some people are like, I want to be in a relationship, like I'm dating with intention. I'm not dating with intention right now. I am dating to see what happens. Like, I want to see what happens. I have this long runway before my plane has to take off. And I think that for me, sometimes when I meet men who are like, this is what I want a wife, and I'm like, well, dang, okay, well, I mean, I guess go ahead on and X me off, because sure, I want to be married again. I don't know when that is, but I know today I don't even know you. And you don't
so
even,
Tracy, are you in the stage where you're just trying to figure out what is it that you probably want? You don't even know if you want it yet. You're just trying to see what is
Mhm.
happening. You're figuring yourself out. You're in a new
feel
space.
like I feel like I have figured myself out. What I would like to do is enjoy someone's company, and then move from enjoy. I really enjoy your company to like, oh my gosh, I really, really like you. Like, oh no, I think I love you.
Okay.
Let's be together. Like,
You're
I
taking
want,
it one day at a time.
yes, I
You want
want
it
to
to grow
grow
into
into
something.
them.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
see, I think that the difficulty comes in when, and once again, there is no right or wrong way. I keep saying right or wrong way to love somebody. Everyone has their thing. But I think we have to, within our own set of who we are and how we like to operate, we really do have to be cognizant of what it looks like from the other side.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, as a woman, to say, I don't want anything right now, that's fine. And so, this is kind of like a note I took from the guy's point of view last week. I felt like honesty has levels to it. And people are not being 100% honest. So we'll say, I don't want a relationship, but yet we want the benefits of one. We don't want the accountability and responsibility of one. And then there was the other part, honesty of omission. I'm honest, but I'm not going to say it. And then when a man says to a woman, I don't really want a relationship, but then he goes about the hanging out, all of the things that will make a woman like you.
Look
You're
like a
doing
girlfriend,
all of
act
these
like a girl. I said,
things
yeah.
that's gonna like you. And so and this is just me, I am like, I cannot like be around a person, enjoy their company, and not want it to go somewhere. And so if I step into that relationship saying I don't want a relationship, but I continue to do these relationship things, and that man stands his ground because they can stand it a little more than we can. Women, we have put on some what I think false pseudos as to our strength to be
Mm.
able to deal with men without our feelings getting involved. But if that man is coming by, he's calling, he brought you flowers, you're hanging out, and now you're ready for a relationship because you knew you really wanted one and he's not, like we just played some games and we have wasted some time and we have now complicated things and now we haven't had the conversations, but we're having the good times. And so now when we have that conversation, maybe everybody doesn't cut it off, as
Yeah.
quickly as you did with the young guy. And now we're attached with these feelings, and that's how we start dealing with the mess because we didn't talk about it. We weren't honest ourselves about what we were looking for.
Or you weren't honest. Yeah, you weren't honest with yourself, right? Because if somebody sits across the table from you and says, I'm good to hang out, I'm good to hold hands, I'm going to bring you flowers, but I'm just saying I don't want to be your boyfriend or I don't want to be your girlfriend. In that moment, you need to make a decision, right? If you have different intentions, you on the other side, you need to make. There are men who I have met, who I have said, men who I've liked, who I've said, listen, I know one day I want to be married. I know one day I want to be in a relationship. I don't know when that is. I know it's like not right now. I know that it's not like in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months, right? Maybe in the next year. And if you can stay the course with me, then you may get this prize. I've had men say, darling, you are a lovely soul. However, I'm looking for something else more immediate. I'm looking for better alignment. And I think this is a real grown person space, right? Like, and it does require complete honesty with yourself, and it requires honesty with the other person. I'm seeing someone right now that's who just called my phone. Does he want to be married? He absolutely does. Has he been very clear about that? He absolutely has. Have I been very clear about I'm not looking for that right now? I absolutely have. However, we have a great time together. And I say all the time, you are responsible for your feelings and I'm responsible for mine. That's real grown people stuff. And it is difficult to navigate. But I do think that, as long as you're transparent and you mind yourself, then you can play in those waters.
So I'm gonna I always the whole thing about dating and is trying to form some kind of relationship, right? So I always say you learn about yourself whether you are serious or having fun when you are dealing with someone else, because you get to see their reactions, you get to see certain things with that person, how they respond to you, how you respond to them. How have you grown? Are you still having the same reactions you've been having with previous relationships? So I always wonder, like, it's like I'm gonna stand in my corner, come out to the ring and play with you and box with you, and then go back into my ring and kind of do the dance. It's always interesting. I don't, like I said, I don't think there's any wrong or right way, but I always want to understand, like, how are we mindful of how we are moving and what intention. And like I said, like how Tracy said, she's very clear. And I love how Valencia was just like, say what you want. And I think that's the thing. I think it's just like verbalizing. How do we start to verbalize the things that we want, especially as Black women? Because there's something in our minds, it's just like, I'm not going to say anything and see what happens.
So, Natalie, there's also the situation which typically happens, especially with me, in that I meet someone in the wrong situation at the right time. Does that make sense?
What do you mean? Explain that.
Um, you meet someone that you probably, grow into, and you become friends, you become more than friends, or you start talking, you guys start having feelings for each other, but it's just not the right situation, right? And I'm just wondering if I put myself in that situation where there is always like a barrier to getting to that end result. Or maybe I myself know that maybe I'm not ready, or maybe I am still in the indecisive phase. So I put myself in a situation where I'm I could back out easily, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or something like that, right? Because it's always the right person in the wrong situation.
Hmm.
Well, then were they the right person?
Yeah.
But,
Right.
were they the right person? Because what situation, you know, is is the wrong situation?
There's a lot of, I have met some really great people over the years that I have had really great friendships, relationships with, that we, care for each other, but just not in the right space or place to make that into anything more. And I think I've become a little bit more mature about that, in that I'm extremely realistic in certain things. Wherever I am, geography, if it may be, or if that person is, you know, um, involved somewhere else. Whether whether or not, I think I have grown to the point where I'm not gonna just complicate things by just being selfish and I want this, even though it's just not the right situation to be in.
I always say there's a reason in season, and you got
Yeah,
to know you got to know if they are in season or not,
Mhm.
yeah,
right? And if they're not in season, don't force them into being in season, and
yes,
don't
yes.
put yourself into that season.
And then
Um,
there's also expectations as well too. That's something that I thankfully, in my previous relationship, I had a lot of expectations based on what I was told. And so I think going through that healing process and making sure that, I'm right back to square one and my mind is right again, therapy, talking, going through my whole, inner um, uh, process. I feel like, expectations need to also be very realistic as well. So I'm
yeah.
very cautious about things like that. I'm not bitter in any way. And I feel like I am so open at this point that I could say exactly how I feel. And if somebody tells me that they're not feeling the same way like I am, that I'm okay with that. But I think where we are today, there's a lot of men that are very scared to just tell the truth. So they stay in that comfort
So,
zone. Where,
Anthony, you brought up a good thing about expectations. What are y'all's expectations? And I will talk about that. What are your expectations now when you meet someone? Valencia, you kind of your it sounds like your husband set the expectation of what he wanted. But before when you said that, what were your expectations before you even met anyone?
My expectations were that they would be honest with me, and that they would have worked on themselves and recognized themselves, and ready to hold themselves accountable and say what they mean and mean what they say. Um, I wanted someone, of course, I had the regular stuff, I didn't want anybody with any children younger than mine, because I didn't want to do that. But my expectations was to give me honesty and stick to your word. If your honesty was good enough for me to say I'm going to give this a shot, I need you to be consistent with what you told me.
Okay. All right. What's your expectations, Judy? Especially within the first couple of dates.
Same thing. I want honesty and consistency afterwards if you feel like I'm somebody you want to pursue. But I just think that, when you date somebody, you don't really know what their intentions are, even if they're telling you what their intentions are. Actions speak louder than words. It's really what I
Yeah.
have been learning over the last few years. People can say anything, but if they're not calling, if they're not doing things, if they're not asking you out, if they're not doing certain things, with just a text here and there or a DM here and there, you're not showing me that you're interested. So I want somebody that's really going to be honest about what they're looking for and then show that.
Mhm.
That part is key. Show. Actions speak louder than words.
Mhm.
But Judy, do you find yourself, or the ladies, I guess, that you two may not be as honest with yourselves? And sometimes we kind of sit back and kind of wait to hear what their intentions are before we actually just let it out versus letting it out first, you know.
No, I feel like I'm pretty honest when I meet
Mhm.
somebody and I'm on a date with them and I'm saying I'm dating and I'm looking for something. I feel like kind of agree with what Tracy was saying as far as I don't know if I want to come off like I'm looking to get married. I'm for a boyfriend. I'm having fun. I'm living my life. And if somebody
Mhm.
sparks something in me enough to that I feel like, wow, I'm really attracted to this guy. Wow, we have great conversations on the phone for 2 hours. Wow, I really like spending time with him. And that starts to build. And then I start to feel like, you know what? I think I do want to be in a monogamous committed relationship with him. That would be great. Instead of kind of coming off right away, like, I want to, looking for this. I don't know yet. I just, especially after being married, I think when you're married and you're divorced, you kind of, it's not as serious. Even though I would like to spend my life with somebody, but I'm totally honest and upfront with everything, with what I want. Maybe probably too honest, um, and I just expect that in return.
Yeah, see, for me, I give the honesty. I don't really know how to sugarcoat it any other way. But being married before, for me, um, made me want to be even more honest and even more direct, um, because the mistakes that I had made. Because if I'm honest with myself, some of the dating that I did, the guys told me that they didn't want it, but in my mind, there was a but, and that they were going to change their mind when they see all this greatness. And it doesn't happen. And so a lot of times that's where the difficulties come from too, because we heard you say you didn't want this, but we think over time, with us having a great time, that you're going to want this, and then somebody gets to that point first, and then the other one is not quite ready, and then we just wasted this year of good times because now it's all crashing to an end. So for me, if I can't give it to you straight, how I need it, you weren't for me.
Yeah, that's right. I just want to say that with this honesty thing, for me, who doesn't want someone who is honest and transparent? But I want someone who is comfortable in their skin and secure in their manhood, and that don't have nothing to do with me, and nor should anything that I do be able to rattle that. Like that is what is really important to me. Is just somebody who is secure, because I'm secure in myself. I'm secure in my womanhood. I am honest in all those things, but I'm T White, and nobody's gonna rattle that. And that to me is one of the most attractive things I am finding as I'm perusing.
Yes.
Are men who are completely and totally secure in themselves, and their manhood is not connected to anything that a woman does or does not do for them or with them. That part is key.
Mhm.
They got
That
that all by their own grown man self. Don't have nothing to do with me. And
So,
if I didn't build it, I also can't destroy it.
Yeah,
so
I had there was a little bit of aspect of that I found when it takes me back to say what was different about my husband. He was confident in himself, but he said the words, I have navigated me, but I'm willing to learn how to navigate us, which is a difference. And that's the other thing. We feel like I'm all together. I got myself together, and I'm going to go to this relationship, and I'm already good.
Mhm.
You're good for you. You may not be good all the way for us. And so that was something else that was new and refreshing to me was that he said, yeah, I got this. I don't need you. I tell the joke all the time. When I met my husband, I totally went through this phase of questioning my value because prior to meeting him, my cooking, my cleaning, my running around, and all that, I thought I was like, as the kids say, I thought I was A1 steak sauce. You know what I'm saying? And then when I got with my husband, he didn't care about my macaroni. He said, I know I clean up behind myself. And so I was sitting here like, well, like, what am I here for? And he was like, I just need you to be you and be there for me and be who you are as a woman. And I had to like really, like, I'm still trying to learn how to be this girl. You know what I mean? That I had to be this mother thingy before, whatever you want to call it. And so that was what was different for me, that he was confident in who he was, but he said, but that's for me alone. I have to be something different for us.
Yeah.
I think that that's a beautiful point, to be able at this age to still be able to grow and learn something about yourself with a partner or somebody. To me at this point,
Mhm.
my whole like relationships plus 50 plus should be fun,
Mhm.
growth, and being able to just be completely vulnerable and explore depths that you haven't explored yet as
Mhm.
a man or a woman, if that's what
Mhm.
you want to do.
Mhm.
Right.
I would
So
say
I want us to go into the fun part. Brothers have been posting all day in WhatsApp about the missteps, or what did I say? It wasn't the missteps. It
what are
was
the missteps that women make
turn
when
ons,
dating?
turn offs when dating. So Anthea has the WhatsApp chat. She's going to share with us some of the ones she found interesting, and ladies, we're going to talk about it a little bit.
One of them said no BBLs, but that's another story. One that stuck out to me was from Marcel, actually. And I actually wanted to hear more about that. And he said one of his turn off is overtly seeking gifts or favors, especially using reverse sympathy. That shit is transparent. I don't give handouts. The reverse sympathy is what I was so curious about when he said that's one of the things that turned him off. Does anybody else know what that means?
I guess is he saying somebody who's kind of like, oh, I'm so low on my rent this month. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't like, because
Probably.
otherwise this person, he's saying like women who are asking for things, who are asking for money or for bills to be paid or something. I don't know.
Probably. Or
I
maybe they want to go out and she needs a babysitter and she can't afford the babysitter. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey, I like why, I think sometimes that we all have to ask ourselves, why are you attracting that person? Like,
right.
how do you even we all got to own our stuff. Like, how are you getting to this place where you are with a woman that is doing that? Like, what happened? What were y'all talking about before we got to this place where she's like, what was me? I can't pay my rent. You ain't know before that? Like, what were the questions? What was the conversation about?
Well, Tracy, it's kind of like last week if you saw the show. One of the gentlemen says that if you can't meet him on a Tuesday
I heard him.
and a Thursday, right? But yet he's looking for this age group that starts at 40. It's like, bruh,
They
you
got to go
don't know
work.
Quisha with no job. So that's what you gonna say. That's who available. I'm 50, I'm retired, but that happened in joint with my husband. But it's
Yeah.
not normal for the 40-year-old to be able to link with you on all these free days. And so I'm
And
not
if
going to
she's
be
free, then yeah, she is going to want you to help her with her rent because it ain't. So
exactly.
you can't have both unless
Exactly.
Right.
unless you want to be with a fabulous 50-year-old who is in command of their schedule, their time, their bank account, and they can go yachting on a Tuesday. But 32 can't yacht on Tuesday unless you want to pay her rent.
I've
Exactly.
heard many women are just like, men fit our peers, our male peers don't want our age. They want younger. Do you for those who are in the streets, do y'all find, not in the streets, but those who are dating on the dating market, do y'all
Absolutely.
find that to be true?
Yes. And
Absolutely.
I've been found this to be true. When I was dating before I got married, I was online dating. And at that time, I say I was 37. All the men who were 40 from my age range wanted 20 to 25.
Yeah.
They didn't want my age range. And so I was just like, what is happening? And I saw that all across. It seemed like men wanted a whole a decade lower, not their own age range. And now that I'm online dating again, I see the same thing. The age range that they want is 30 to, like I'm in the 50 range. And so I'm looking from 50 to 55 or 48 to, that means they're looking for 30. And I
You know
still,
what? I'm tired of fighting that fight with men. So I'm like, you know what? Bring on the 58-year-old brother because he's in a whole other space of life. I've never dated someone who was 10 years older than me. Now I do. And I absolutely love it. So they want younger. I want older. I don't want you neither. You 50, I'm good. Give me 59. I'll take 59, 60, 61, 62,
But do you
60.
guys, do you ladies at this age get a lot of younger men approaching you, like
I get
30 years
younger
old?
men
yes.
too. I'll take them 37, 32, 30. Well, not 32, 32 is young, but anywhere between 35 and up, that's fine too.
Yeah,
I get
if
the
I was
22-year
dating,
olds to the 35-year-olds.
yeah, if I was dating, I wouldn't be interested in younger. Especially with my sons gonna be 30 and 32 this year. They would kick both of our asses. So I couldn't rock like that. My first husband was 9 years older than me. I don't have a problem with the older difference, but I have a problem with at the age that I was. I should not have
Mm.
went there because he was looking for someone to create his own little project and
Uh-oh.
slate. Yeah. And so I find that that is one of the reasons why men like to go younger, because they feel like someone is still in a molding stage. I think
Mhm.
some of them say that our age, there are not a lot of us, but I'm so glad that this panel is debunking all of that, baby. Because
Let's be clear.
everybody on here is high, but they like to say that we ain't keeping ourselves together at this age.
Mm.
I'm starting to say that's an old excuse. You're gonna have to throw that one out the window.
Right.
No,
So
we're all the way together.
it was so funny because one of the guys, when we were the guy who wrote the book, Chris, said he only dates from, what did he say, 40 to
50
50. Now
to
he's
50.
55, 40 to 50, right? Was it 40
Hmm.
to 50? Because he's like,
Because
over 50
anybody over 50 is out of shape. Yeah.
out of shape. And I'm like,
But what was his shape looking like?
They
Don't
for
please stop.
was the
SpongeBob
belly
square
bellying?
pants.
Were the moves moving? Because I'm just saying.
Well, anyway, there's another comment from the men that said one of the things that turns them off. I'm just talking over you, Dr. T, because that person may be watching.
Oh,
But the other thing that turns them off is name brand bags, belts, bags. A woman with great sense of style and taste doesn't need to have all the labels displayed.
I mean, I think there's a thin line between overkill, if you have on all designer stuff, but there's nothing wrong with a nice Chanel bag to complement jeans and a nice top and some heels. Like
But
that's what I would wear on a date.
yeah,
and
I
if you
think
want to do that
so.
for yourself, then
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing for myself. Like I'm not asking you to go buy me a Chanel bag. Like, but if I want to buy it for myself, then what's wrong with that?
Well, I think if people are looking for a partner, um, it's the same thing. Let's be honest. We all judge, right? And there are women and men alike that lead with money, that want to show you that they can afford this or that. And if you can afford it for yourself, then they're obviously, it's a common sense thing. The man is going to think that these are the things that you're going to want.
That's
Um,
true.
and you do have some women that everything they have on has to display it. Like, okay, I have a Gucci purse, but unless you had this on your Gucci wish list or you saw it or you have it, you wouldn't be able to tell. I don't like the Gucci purses with the G's on there and the Gucci belt. And and these people, I see people, we see it all the time. Well, I'm not on social media anymore, but when I was, I knew somebody that had a Gucci belt. And how many outfits does this Gucci belt go with? You just have to have this on every time that you're displaying yourself. And so I can understand a man looking at a woman and saying, okay, she's designer from head to toe. Everything she has is designer. That could pose some questions there. It doesn't necessarily, as long as they're not stereotyping that, but that will pose some questions. Is this person trying to be like Love and Hip Hop? Can they really afford this? If we're trying to build something together, are they okay without this for a moment while we build? So I think those things, I don't think that's a bad thing to look at, because I look at the same thing as a man. Is he out here flaunting? Is he showing off his money? Not that does he have a nice car, but why does he have the nice car? And that's what I had to learn. There was people that I wanted to be with someone that wanted things, but it was the reason behind them wanting things that made the difference for me. Do you want this because it makes you look good in the streets, or did you really check you want this brand of car because the quality is there and the safety is here or whatever? And so I think
That's
it's
a good
legitimate.
point. That's a good point, Valencia. It is the why as to what it is why they
But
bought the
but
car.
what if they okay? But I'm gonna place. What if it's both, and he's still a great dude? Does it really matter?
For me, it does. For me, it
Does
does.
it? I mean, if it's like I like the safety of the car, but I also like nice shit, and that's just who I am. But I'm gonna treat you like a queen
No,
every day.
I'm fine with you wanting nice shit, but the people that want nice shit for the attention,
Right.
when the stuff begets attention, is what they want. I don't want to compete with that. I've been there and done that. And you want a business, and I'm thinking we're trying to be business owners, but you want it because of the other women that's going to think you have something, or your brother you're in competition with. And we're really not about this business.
Yeah.
We're about the fronting of the business. So do you really like the car, or are you about the fronting of the car?
Mm.
That's the difference for me.
I agree. I feel like that is really difficult for especially Black folks
Yes.
to navigate,
Yes.
honestly, because we are such in a space of economic growth, probably faster than
Mhm.
what we ever imagined. So we are always, I'm not gonna say most of us, but a lot of us are keeping up with some form of status quo or acceptance. So it's a hard thing to navigate, because I feel like it's something that we all, that's a whole nother conversation, the finances of Black love and what it looks like, because we
Yes.
want high value men, but what
Girls.
does that really mean for us
Mhm.
besides their character?
Yeah.
Like, their presentation matters.
Hmm.
We gotta have another show that where everybody defines what's a high value man, but that's another topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But I love that. I love the idea of just men who really understand like how they use their money, what's their money for, and how they present
And the
and how they
whys
present
of it and
their money.
why.
Yeah,
I like
that,
what
that is just,
Star said.
Anthony, what's a couple more things, and then we're gonna go to our final questions.
Just
So we
one more. I'll just give you one more. One person said a turn off is when a woman is rude to a wait staff. And they had like this example of when they went out and the calamaris were fried instead of grilled, and that person was very dismissive to the wait staff, and that ended the dating for that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a red flag for both, for everybody.
Mhm.
I like to see that you treat everybody the same, that you treat people nicely, that you speak to the staff nicely. That is definitely something that I look at when I'm out with somebody.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, most of the things that I read in the WhatsApp that are turnoffs for men are also turnoffs for me.
Exactly.
Turnoffs for most women.
Exactly.
Most of them. There were very few that I saw that I would not say, "Yep, that is a turnoff." One that I did not see that I would just like to add on there is a chronic selfie taker and poster.
Oh my
It's
Uh,
God.
weird,
yes.
especially for men. I kind of get it for women, but when you find a man that is standing in the mirror like this all the time with that, it's just weird.
I
Thankfully, I
agree.
haven't met any like that.
Yeah, I think it's weird on both parts, and I think that's the overall thing. I think we are in agreement. One of my thoughts before, when I'm just going over thoughts about the show, was pretty much everything. I think the difficulty in dating can be diminished greatly if we stop standing on either sides of this line.
Mhm.
And if we remove that line and just talk as people, we will find out we both hate the same stuff and both people are doing it. Men are doing it. They just do it in a different way. So there are women that lead with money. There are men that lead with money. If you are someone who likes someone who leads with money because you want to go after the money, do it. But no, if you lead with money, then that's what you're going to attract. Someone who wants you for your money. There are women who lead with their body because they think men want to go with bodies. So if you want you for your body, lead that way. Some people want you to lead with their degrees. Some people lead with how many marriages they've been. I don't know, whatever. But whatever you lead with, there are men and women as well that do the same thing.
There's a great question in the chat that I wanted us to ask. It says, how can anyone keep wanting the same thing without conforming and evolving?
Mm,
I can answer that.
yeah.
Um, One of the things that my husband made very clear early on, in order for us to be successful, I had to continue to grow. He did not expect me to do it at the same pace as him because we're two totally different type of personalities. Like I'm like, and he's like constantly focused, reading, growing mentally, emotionally. And so he made it very clear. But the key to us wanting the same thing is we're not the same thing. When you're growing, you are not the same thing. And we don't try to change each other. So it's refreshing when we come together because I don't ask him. He's not going to the picnic with me where we hanging out in the back and we got our coolers and our red cups. He's not coming, and it's fine, and we have our common ground. And so we're not conforming, but we're evolving. So we're not the same.
Yeah, I don't, I really, the word, I love that question that Brooklyn put in there. And I think that you can't keep wanting the same thing without evolving. The word conforming is, it makes me feel some kind of a way because when I think about conforming, I think about being pressed into a
Restrained.
box.
Yes.
Right, and restricted. When I think about evolving, I think about blossoming. And I think the question is, how can you keep wanting the same thing if you are evolving? Because I think an outgrowth of evolution is that the things that you want begin to change. So I would flip that question a little bit. How can you evolve and continue to still want the exact same thing, the exact same way? I think evolution means sometimes you broaden your mind and your desires follow suit.
Yeah.
Tracy, could it be fair? Maybe they're wanting the same thing because that's what's familiar with them, and they're scared to uncover another layer or level. It could
Yeah,
also be fair.
yeah. I think that, you know, familiarity and comfort is like carbon monoxide. Like in some, let me say, in some spaces, right? I There's a song that I've been listening to every single morning. It's called Familiar, and the hook just says, "Can't keep running back to what I used to know." Like, Lord, hold my hand as I walk down this new road. And I think that a lot of people do run back to what's familiar, familiar in terms of their dating practices, familiar in terms of the type of men or women that they go after, familiar in terms of their approach, familiar in terms of all of these different areas, because evolution in grappling with and tackling new things, especially when you're 50, is really, really scary.
I think the other evolution for women is our beauty is starting to leave us. It's not leaving us, but it's
It's
transforming in a
changing.
different
Yeah.
way, right?
Change.
So that element, if that has been what you have been able to move through in life for
Yeah.
the last 40 to 50 plus years, there's other elements of yourself that's going to force you
Yeah.
or not to evolve. And I think the thing is like, once we start to develop ourselves, and I've met a lot of women who are now back on the market, but they may be 55, but their mindset is still at 35.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, where is, and I think that's, to me, when I look at Brooklyn's question, that's what I think of when I think about it. And I do agree with Valencia. It's not, we have to conform and we have to not even conform, evolve in our own way. And the other thing is not compare ourselves to other people we admire.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Comparison, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
which is
Um,
so hard to do in the day of social media now. We're constantly looking at what other people are doing and people's relationships, and just to know that a lot of times people are not being truthful with the statuses of how they are doing.
Yeah, and that's why I go back to really what's true self accountability. I mean, I think I wind up saying the same comment on the last show I was on. At the end of the day, if we're going to say social media, because I think that was something that was posted as far as us getting ready for the show, was that social media is ruining this and that. No, social media is actually not. It has just given a bigger platform for people to be who they are. I don't think, uh, like if you win the lottery, it's the same way the philosophy of winning the lottery. It's not going to make you a different person. It's going to make you more of the person that you were
Already
prior
are.
to getting the money. And so with social media, I found, which I made, I think this January was a full year that I totally just discarded social media because it was controlling what you think and your topic of conversations, and it starts to have you with these false biases, with these little snippets of somebody you don't know the whole thing, and then everybody's just going back and forth and everything. And so I go back to self accountability. Now I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the latest stuff is. The WhatsApp group for this group is the closest I get to any current
which
uh
is a hot mess.
gossip going on,
We
because
have, we have
other than that, it was just like at my age, I was over it, just seeing like the falsehoods of people, like, these people. It's like, I know you, girl. Why are you doing that? That's not even, like, that's not real. And so then you times that times a million,
Right.
and you're just like in this fake space, wasting too much of your energy. And I have grown so much personally since leaving social media. But
there's one question I wanted to ask. Was somebody asked, and this is my sister, what was the biggest mistake you've made on a first or second date?
mm,
I think I have, and this was again being new into this perusal market. Um, I think it was just coming in too hard on just kind of shutting down. No, I don't want that, and the approach to sharing that, right? And so not giving the same space that I'm talking about now because I'm in a different space, but not giving that space to, you know, allow something to blossom and then just being so cornered into, I don't want a relationship. Well, okay, well, hold on now. Like now you sound scary. I think that was one of my biggest mistakes. There was a really nice gentleman who had been pursuing me for quite some time. And once we started talking, I probably went way hard in a way that I should not have.
You didn't give him no grace, Dr. T.
I gave no great,
Lord Jesus.
yeah, but I'm better now.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
I can't say that I can think of mistakes I think I've made on first dates, but closer to what Tracy is saying is kind of for me maybe being close-minded to somebody who I've just meeting, even he's not cute enough or he's not this, kind of already judging somebody before really getting to know who they are. Because back in the day, I think I went more for looks, and now it's more about what's in here and how people treat you and how consistent they are with you. So I think in the past I have been judgmental. I think when first seeing somebody, and if they measure up to this standard that I think I want, and I'm not doing that anymore.
So
Yeah.
I want to do a little test, and I will have one more question before we go. So the fact that you brought that up, Judy, it kind of goes right into what I asked. So I thought about this. From a scale from one to five, five being the most important. How important is their financial status? One to five.
That's an absolute five.
five,
Five,
5.
five.
Absolute
It's
five.
okay. I'll say 4.
four. Why
Is
four?
there
Why four, Anthea? Why four?
I mean, money is important, but they need to be a good person more than
Okay,
have
I'm
money.
gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. Looks.
Looks
Three,
is
Four.
one,
I'm gonna
Four,
give it a
Judy.
solid. I think it looks a three.
three. Yeah, I'm with a three.
I can give it a solid
Three.
three.
You said a four,
it's
Anthea.
a 1 for me.
It's a one. Okay, all right. Whoo, child. Personality.
That's a
Five.
five.
That's like five.
That's a 5.
That's my five.
That's your 5. Being able to move in and out of social circles.
That's
Five.
1.
A 1,
a
Yeah,
five.
let's say a solid three.
Yeah. I
3.
think that has a lot to do with your own life and where how you move. And if in your life, part of an extension of your life means you have to go and move in and out of social circles, then you can't be with me if you can't, be in Southeast DC, and then go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Like you got to be
Exactly.
able to do both. Because if that's my life, I need you to be able to rock with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if your life is just going to Applebee's, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
a
that's
1, a 3, and a 5. Okay. Um, willingness to get married. This is the guy you want.
5.
Willingness to get married.
5.
5.
A solid four.
A
I'm gonna give
4.
that.
I would say three or two.
Willingness to get married.
Yeah, because doesn't depends on where we are, what makes sense for the both of us. I may want to get married, but it may not make sense.
Okay. All right. All right. And travel.
That's a five.
5.
Travelers, yes, is up there. 4, 5.
Say a 4.
A 4. A 4. Okay. Okay. And if you wanted to quit your job, he could maintain the lifestyle.
That's a five.
5.
That's
Well,
5.
I'm there. So I'm
You
I'm 3 years in. I'm
Okay.
I'm 3 years in. Yeah. So if and I got kind of badgered by women when I did that. They was like, "You gonna trust him?" And then I said, "I don't know about your husband, but I'm gonna sit down."
Mm-hmm.
And okay, final question. One more.
Does he have a yacht though? No, I'm kidding. I'm
Oh
kidding.
my God. Lord have mercy.
Yes.
Uh, trust him to. He's able to lead.
That's
5.
Lead 5.
5.
yeah.
I need the guy that I'm
And
with.
you are willing. Okay, and this one, are you willing to make concessions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because if he loves you, the concessions aren't gonna hurt you. That's the
Exactly.
thing.
Right.
If he loves
Unless
you,
the concession is I need to have my
it's
side
whatever.
piece or something.
Yeah.
Ginger Heels. Thank you. Sexual chemistry. I forgot. Sorry.
5.
5.
Well,
Yes.
that's a hard number for me to put on because sexual chemistry for me comes from the other things being in place, and then the chemistry is fun. So I'm not a person that can even like rank a chemistry of sex if we don't have this other stuff already going on. So I don't have so
That's
for
like a
that,
five for me.
So they
Because
said you gotta hold it down for the sexual chemistry to be right, Valencia.
yeah, it already has to be. We have to be connecting on so much other stuff that, like, just because you're cute and whatever, that doesn't make me want a man sexually at all.
But I'm glad you said that, Valencia, because the chemistry is about all of those other things that we rated.
Right.
And so I'm glad that came last. If all those other things are in place, especially that piece about your ability to lead, because your leadership is sexy. Separate and apart from, I know the narrative out here in these streets about women is that we don't want to be led and we don't want that leadership. I don't know any of those women. I know I'm not one of those women. And having a certain job or a certain title does not negate the fact that you still want to be soft and you still want to be we said this before we came on. I
So
still
let-
want
this
to
is-
be a girl.
Tracy, and we do need to take this conversation in the after party because this is a good thing. How do you lead? How can he feel? Because I feel like men feel like especially Black men, their leadership is based in their economic stance.
It's not.
Unfortunately.
It's
How
not.
do you lead how does he lead if he makes more money, if you make more money than him?
Well, first of all, I've always I made more money than my ex-husband.
Okay.
He had a high-ranking position. I don't up until now, I've never dated a man who I didn't make more money than.
Okay.
Right. So it's for me, it has nothing, it doesn't tie into his economic state. It ties into his comfort and his manhood.
Right.
Yeah, you could work for you. Yes, I said that.
Can
You
you
can,
give some examptions? I
I,
think because brothers understand examples.
yeah, I'll give a couple of
Are you trying
examples.
to say they're slow, Natalie?
I realize people need examples. I'm learning that. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Tracy.
So I think that some of it is for me. Let me just start from a spiritual place, right? So if you stand strong and firm, I'm a Christian woman in the Word of God. You know what, you understand it. You have a network of support that you've built around yourself to be able to make sure that you keep yourself prayed up and you keep us prayed up. Like that for me is first and foremost. I think secondary to that, it is looking over the whole of our lives from our financial picture. You don't have to make the most money, but you need to understand something about finances. Like you need to understand something about our home and our household and be able to make decisions, right? And say, hey, babe, I think this is what we need to do. This is why we need to do it. And explain those things to me. You need to be able to see me. I know this is what you like. I know this is what you need. Are you okay? What's going on? It is just posturing yourself as this home and this relationship is my organization. So I need to take care of it as if I am the CEO of this organization that is our home and our marriage. I'm fine to be your chief operating officer. I don't got to be the executive here. I don't want to be that in my home. Because that's what I'm talking about. And that has nothing to do with how much money you make. It has everything to do with your posture and your position.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the leadership position first and foremost should have a plan. And can you articulate your plan? And
Mhm.
are you already working your plan at this stage in the game? You know, when we were 25, of course, you know, he hasn't gotten it together. But at this stage in the game, what is his plan and how is he operating? I will say though, um, friends, all of that being out in the world, there is an issue with women who make more money than their men. They say they want to know in that position, but I think a lot of women struggle with actually getting in that position. It's a struggle because if you make more money, but he's the leader and he says we're going to do this, like take a poll. Really, how many women are going to say, "Okay, I'm not going to buy this Gucci, even though I know I work hard and I deserve it." There is this fine line of people that are going to say, okay, I made the most money, but you tell me what's better for the home. And what has worked in my home is we are honest about what we're not good at. And then you handle what you're good at, I'll handle what you're not good at, and then we have a whole thing working. But at the end of the day, I know my husband is leading this and he had a plan for us. You know what I mean? But I do, for men, I have a lot of male friends, and it's a struggle with them getting with women who have degrees and or that income.
But I think oftentimes that struggle is more the man's struggle than it's ours. Like it was not my ex-husband's struggle. Like he wasn't tripping over my salary. And part of that was because our money went in a pot, right? So it wasn't like, well, you're not going to tell me not to buy this Gucci bag because this is my money. That's not how, because of who he was as a man, that's not how our home was set up.
But you're a different type of chick. And I'm telling you that there are, if you ask the men, they will say more times than not, they are going to run into that woman that is not going to want to pool their money together with him and that they are going to keep that leg up over him because they make more money. You know
So
what
I
I
know
mean?
a lot of wealthy women, and I don't know any who flow like that. And that maybe that's just my circle, right? Like
I
I
think, yeah, I think it depends. I think it also depends on. I think it's a lot of factors. I think
Yeah,
a lot.
where did they come from? What were their models? You know, did they see their mom do it single and then they're saying, you know, I can, you know, have they been told, don't let the man do this, always have your money and this and that. So yeah, all of that goes into it. But you have to act the we can assess ourselves, but what are the results telling us? And so if we are women that have this income and we're seeing that we're open for a leader, but we never can get into that position where a man feels like he can be the leader, you can't always say it's the man. We have to look at how we really are, what energy we're giving off. What are we really saying without saying that that restricts that man's leadership?
I think deep down we all want somebody who is valuable and can bring certain things to the table at the end of the day,
Right.
especially as and because we live in a capitalistic society where shit is getting more expensive,
Mhm.
we're getting older, the cost of living is going up, all the other shit, and black folks like to do shit. We like to do shit, so that's why I asked all those things like we say money is like a 3 or a 4, but if we are moving as a 5, hopefully
It's a
he
vibe.
will hopefully move as a 5 as well, or he will, again, I do agree, pick up where in areas where we may not be as strong. Um, Last question, Judy, and I'm gonna start with you.
Okay.
What is one thing you wish men knew about dating? What is one thing you wish men knew about dating they don't know about? What Let me re-ask that question. One thing you wish men knew about dating women they don't know.
Mm.
I'm gonna go back to what I said when I was saying I went out with the man who listened to the little things that I said. I want more men to listen to the little things. What not the big things, the little things, and then act on that later on, or bring it up somehow later on, because it shows to more than just the major things. And I think a lot more men need to start doing that.
Okay. I like that. The little things. It's the little
Mhm.
thing. Tracy.
I wish that men knew and understood. It kind of connects to this conversation about leadership and headship. That you are the pace setter, right? Like whether or not a woman is in that position where they're, in that support or that follower position, that men are, you're the leader, right? And so when you're dating a woman, um, the environment and the atmosphere that you set is going to have a lot to do with where that date and or relationship is going to go. And so we have a lot of conversations and back and forth about don't take them to dinner, don't give them no flowers. Like, okay, like you are starting us in this space, right? So don't be surprised if it doesn't go the way that you think it should go. So I wish men knew and understood, even though we have this constant debate about are they leading, aren't they leading? You are. It's your God given inherent space and position. And I'm saying that as a leader who leads a whole organization, but I am saying you are a man, you are that leader. So I wish that they understood that. And it's not a title or a right that I'm giving you, it is a position that is yours, that you choose what you do with it, not me.
All right. Valencia.
I'm just gonna say that women just want you to be honest. And as you can see from even the small panel that we have here, if you tell the truth, there's somebody out there that's going to rock with you. You know what I mean? So don't come and be deceitful, because we have 5 women on this panel and we all have 5 different ratings and we had all these things that didn't matter. So just come with who you are and what you're looking for. And if it's nothing at the moment, hey, you got Doc right here. She ready to rock like that. If you saying you got somebody that it's got to be a wife, that was me. You had to rock like that with me. And if you want somebody that we just down, we gonna kick and we gonna talk. It's all of the varieties. Is out here. So don't waste anybody's time
Yes.
with the lies and the games, because
Especially
you never know who's gonna rock with your party.
So
Anthea.
I would say I wish they would know to listen.
Mm-hmm.
The camera keeps coming out, but listen. I think if we're on a date and the both of us are having a conversation, it's really important that you listen to me. I'm going to listen to you, and that we hear each other. It's not a competition. You don't have to compete with me. I'm not trying to outshine you. You don't have to try to outshine me. And lastly is be a man. And when I say be a man, I pull the chair out, open the car door, things
Chivalry.
that,
Chivalry.
yeah,
Some
do the
chivalry.
chivalrous thing.
Yeah.
Right. I just,
Without expectation. Just
yeah.
be chivalrous.
Be chivalrous. Show up. Show up. That's my one thing. Show up. And show up, have a plan. Like, don't ask me what you want to do. If we like, it's cool. I'm gonna tell you sometimes, but sometimes I want you to just plan things and so on and so forth. It's a dance, and understand that it is a dance. And
I'm sorry, Natalie, you asked earlier about an example, to give an example. To me, that is one of the core examples of plan. You make a decision. And a good woman, I don't care what that decision is that you made. If you made a decision, we're going to go to some, I don't know, some play or something like that. Maybe some, who cares? You made a decision, you planned, you bought our tickets, and you came and picked me up and you took me out. So when I'm sitting in that passenger seat, I am the quintessential woman. That is,
Unless they're taking me out to like a strip club or something, I don't know if I'm going with that.
now hold on now, don't take me to a strip club.
girl, we ain't getting into the strip club conversation. We're gonna continue this conversation in the after. Can I want to commend all these women on the panel that this is what 40, late 40s, 50 something looks like. Y'all some bad bitches. I'm just saying. Y'all are beautiful. Like, seriously. Like, when I think of 50, I do not think of us. So I just want to say thank you, ladies. Y'all were beautiful. Y'all were brilliant. I am so excited. This conversation was so full. My cup is full. So coming to the after party, let's continue this conversation. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you, Valencia. Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Thank you, Judy. Welcome. And of course, Sunshine. We will see y'all next week. Thank you, guys. Coming to the after party.
Coming.
Join Stacked After Hours, The Spot, where grown men and women gather to have candid, also honest discussions about the state of life, love, and more. The Spot is a hybrid of in-person and weekly virtual gatherings. Join our Facebook group and answer our daily questions. Subscribe to our YouTube for our weekly live talk shows, and join us on Zoom for our talk show after parties for lively conversations with other opinionated, grown, and sexy professionals. Just search, like, follow, and subscribe to Stack After Hours on Facebook groups and YouTube. Also like and follow our brand pages at Be Stacked Wellness on Facebook and IG. So wherever you are, at home or abroad, pull out your laptop, tablet, or smartphone and join in the conversation with the members of Stacked After Hours. The Spot by Be Stacked Wellness. See you there.
As you know, and if you are new to the Stacked family, we always keep our conversations lit and enlightening.